First things first, if any comment is a suggestion to get a hearing aid or a cochlear implant, I will not block you, but don't do it. Hello and welcome back to the channel and Vlogmas. Today we're gonna get a little bit personal. Basically my hearing is... Well, we already knew that, right? Hi, you are here viewing the deaf woman talking about her life for the past however many years. But hi, if you're new, hi, I'm deaf. And a little bit of background info, deafness is a spectrum, and there are people way deafer than me that can still hear a little bit of something depending on the frequencies or whatever, and there are some with better hearing than me. And I, in the past few months, have noticed a decline. And I've been in denial until now. So I mentioned this, I mentioned this before. I was hard of hearing, which is a social construct and creates an annoying war between deaf and hard of hearing people and deaf people going, hard of hearing people don't understand this and you can't be this and you're not with us, whatever. But when I was 11, the doctors told me that I had hearing loss, and the social construct that the people that are not audiologists would say hard of hearing. Audiologists don't use hard of hearing. So I was hard of hearing at 11. It was mostly on this side, but I also had a little bit on this side. And it really didn't do much. It didn't really impact my life until high school. I think high school is when it really started. You know, I was having more trouble with group projects, understanding teachers, and my grades were not that great. So understanding my peers, which brought up some bullying stuff and whatnot. So, and then my hearing just kind of ended up being the same. So, you know, it was like age 11, high school, and then it kind of just was like this, I want to say, for so many years. And then every year for like the past 3 or so years, I would notice it going down a little bit. Like, I noticed that there are things I hear less and less. Of course, I could have one person stand right here and they would start talking and I could somewhat understand them and hear them, and then there would be the same person the next day, couldn't hear them, couldn't understand them, or I would have two different people in front of me. One I could understand, my level of normal of understanding, but this person over here literally could not hear a single thing coming out of his mouth. They could be speaking at the same volume, but I wouldn't be able to understand a single thing, probably because this guy had a much quieter voice or a different pitch and tone or whatever. So every year, there was a little bit of a dip, but I never really paid much attention. However, this year, I started to notice when I would go through about 3 different pairs of earphones and think, wow, these earphones really suck. And I would get the cheap ones, I would get the more expensive ones, and I would keep blaming things on the earphones and spending more and more money. But the reality is, it's not the earphones, it's me. I also started to notice that I hear less and less of my dad on the phone. You know, I made that video about when I called my dad when the manager of a bar broke my license. But now, since that was August. This was back in the end of August. Now, I'm yelling more and more and noticing that I hear less and less of literally everything. The same people that I would be able to hear a little bit, I can't really hear them anymore unless they end up really being loud to the point where you have to be screaming at me for me to even begin to try to hear you. When I'm watching the same streamer, since January, I've noticed that I can barely understand her, which gets to be a little bit frustrating because I'm a moderator. So sometimes I'm like, I have no idea if you are talking to me and if I need to do something. So that can be a little bit frustrating. Editing videos has gotten more and more difficult. It's gotten more difficult to understand exactly what it is that I'm saying, when I need to cut out something, because I'm thinking, did I mess up in that particular line, or is that an actual word in there? And you know, sometimes when I get my captions done, sometimes when I order them, whatever, and I'm trying to make sure that what I'm saying matches with the word, with the caption, sometimes I can't tell at all. So I'm playing the same line over and over and over because something feels off, but I can't tell what it is. Or maybe I do know that it's wrong, but I can't tell what it is that I actually said. So I end up scrapping the whole word altogether and having to write indistinct instead because I don't know what's being said, and then I hope somebody in the comments knows what's being said because the captioner got it wrong, so obviously they don't know what's being said. That has been a little bit of a struggle. Understanding boyfriend was actually always a bit of a struggle to begin with, but now it seems to be even more of a struggle. Let me be honest, it's been a little tough finally admitting to myself. You know, I've always said in the past, like, death pride, woo! But I've also said that it's completely normal when something big changes in your life. And I did not expect, considering I've been so used to this for the past, since I was 11, but especially in the past couple of years when it was declining, but now it's like a sudden drop in the last 2 months. I don't know how to feel about that. And it's interesting because I think my boyfriend asked me a couple of months ago, he said, is there a chance that you will be profoundly deaf, like, completely? Not like getting a cochlear implant, burning hair cells level, maybe, but, like, just to the point where you probably won't even hear the train outside the gym anymore. And I said, probably, because, well, the person who gave me this is. So in my head, I always knew, yeah, this is eventually probably going to happen. Like, it's a possibility. It's a possibility that it could stay the way that it is right now. It's a possibility that in a couple more months, next year, 10 years, 20 years from now, it can completely go. And I thought I was used to that. I thought, I thought that if that happened, I would just be like, okay, oh, that's it, move on. Nope. Kind of frightening, actually. Not in the sense of, like, you know how some people are like, oh my god, I would kill myself if that happened? Not like that. Just, I don't know. It's so hard to explain. Other deaf people might understand this, especially those with residual hearing, right? But, damn. And it's funny, because I made a tweet thread about it. Follow me on Twitter. I made a post about it on Facebook. Go like me on Facebook. And within minutes, my friend Andrew swoops into my Facebook messages and goes, he's also deaf, by the way, deafer than me in terms of his audiogram, but he also hears things that I don't. Like I said, deafness is weird. Audiograms are weird. He swoops into my messages and goes, yeah, I kind of had a feeling that you were becoming deafer. I could tell. And I'm like, how the hell did you tell before me? Or again, I guess I kind of knew, but I was in denial. And he said, I noticed that your voice has become a little bit deeper. So that either A, means that, well, women apparently, their voices get deeper as they get older. I don't know if that's true. So it was either that, or B, my hearing is declining. Also, I've noticed it when I would meet up with my dad for lunch or whatever, and I have to get him to be louder than before. So, yeah, that was interesting to talk about with my friend. And I know someone is going to ask, because this always happens. This happens even in videos when I don't say, oh no, my hearing, but I'm just like, hey, I'm deaf, I don't care. But hearing aids, cochlear implants, the answer for me personally is still no. And I have a whole video about that up here, which I will put in a card. Straight up, without really getting into it, my feelings still haven't changed. So yeah, that is just my video. I'm letting you know that yes, it is possible for deaf people who really have no issues with it, with being so. This is me telling you that sometimes things happen, and we still might be a little, oh, that's a thing, and I'm slightly nervous about it. At least the ones like me. It's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not the end of the world, but it is something that, you know, yeah, just something to get used to. This is hard to explain. I'm gonna try to like do a little written thing about it, but yeah. I just wanted to let that out a little bit. Thank you for listening to my story. As always, I very much appreciate you watching, but before you go, if you haven't, consider being a pledge on Patreon. It's a great way to support your favorite creators' content. From me, you get things like music playlists, written pieces you won't see anywhere else, and pen pal letters if you go up high enough. And I will see you later. Bye!